Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take on this Friday morning, and a little bit of pressure on the markets, and it's starting to turn into a little bit more, and that all started yesterday. And that's why oftentimes we like to see what was the setup from yesterday. So the setup from yesterday was exactly this. The Dow started off the day all right. Things were going just fine. Then about a 700-point move from the highs to the absolute lows, which is about where we closed. And we finished the day down about 370 points. The NASDAQ, it started on those highs. It took off immediately towards the downside and just cascaded 500 points from the start of the day, finished down 278 points. Gives you a little bit of an idea. There certainly was some activity yesterday and a lot of unbelievable selling pressure. Part of the reason about that second half, specifically looking at the Dow and how we really shifted around, a lot of that having to do with the Fed. The commentary coming from the Fed. That is one of those big trigger points. We talk about catalysts all the time. Anytime the Fed's going to be talking, that could be a very big potential catalyst. And certainly it was yesterday as they were talking about how they're going to try to do their very best to thread the needle, how they're going to have to move things around. And some of the numbers that were thrown out there as well, including numbers from Bullard, which is a little bit outside the box, but even a bigger raise. So all that being said, you look at Bitcoin. It was near about 42,000. I look at the volatility index yesterday. We did get under 20, traded around 1980, got all the way up towards 2260. Oh, and by the way, if we would have rang the bell 10 minutes later, probably would have been even higher. It really started to sprint towards the end of the day, and we finished the day on the highs of the day for the volatility index. Big volume day, back towards the normal volumes. We actually were right around 42.8 million contracts yesterday, a big recovery off of some of those lows earlier in the week. But a lot of that, I suppose you could contribute to what was going on from the standpoint of the markets themselves and the big swings that we had. Unbelievable day yesterday. Crude around 103, still holding well above 100. And you look over at the 10-year, pressing on 2.9, just seems to be hovering around that area. We'll see for how long. Every single sector yesterday closed in the red. Gives you a pretty good idea that there was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Energy was the leader. It was down about 3% yesterday. Communications down close to 2.5%. Technology down 1.7% yesterday. Throw in the semiconductors. They had a terrible day, down almost 3%, 2.7% to be exact. Then you look at materials and financials. You could not find much yesterday to hang your hat on in terms of where would you really want to be if you were somebody who was looking around for what would be, everybody always talks about safety trades. I'm not so sure there were too many safety trades on yesterday. There were some areas, however, in the marketplace that really did have a pretty good day. You look over at the airlines, you look at American, you look at United, you look at Southwest, all had a very, very strong day. Tesla, unbelievable start to the day, absolutely rocketed, got up towards that 1100 number and then cascaded down as well. But it was a big start of the day for Tesla after those huge numbers they put up. And then they finished the day still above 1,000, right around that 1,008 and had a pretty good day yesterday. You look over also at CSX. It's a name that's been hitting on the unusual options more frequently lately than we had seen in quite a long time. That had a pretty good day yesterday as well. Monster, the drink, another great day. Kraft Heinz had a nice day. Dow, IBM. So not everything was terrible, but what was terrible versus what was pretty good definitely was outweighed. I'll give you a great example. So yesterday we talk about some of the material space. You look at Freeport Mac, Mosaic getting hit pretty hard. Match, you look at Datadog, you look at DocuSign, hit pretty hard. Facebook, then throw in names like NVIDIA and CrowdStrike, all getting hit. Chinese names, PD, PDD, all of the, or JD rather, and PDD getting hit. Then I look over, I see in the Dow itself, you see Salesforce, you see Chevron, you see Disney, all getting smacked around pretty harsh. Some of the reactions, I think, obviously, after that Netflix from a couple of days ago. Come into today. The Dow's under a little bit of pressure. Nothing big, down 100 points. That's not a huge number anymore. But then it was down 200 by the opening and the NASDAQ fairly flat. Then we were down 300, NASDAQ starting to slip. Down 380, NASDAQ slipping a little bit more. Down 430, NASDAQ down about 110 points. So you could see the trend of what we are seeing on the flow. As a matter of fact, you look over at Verizon, and then you look at Caterpillar, and then you look at American Express, you can see what was, at least in the early parts of the session, really pulling on the Dow itself to the downside. You have crude down just a little bit, but right around 102, nothing big. You had the volatility index going into the weekend. We are in the 23s and we're in the 24s, and that's where we are right now. As we are, the last I looked, towards the lows of the day. You have Bitcoin down about 2,000 points, right around 40,000. You also have a 10-year that's getting closer and closer to 3. Last I looked, it was 288. We've been talking about this for a while now, and the different levels that it's been hitting and multi-year high levels, obviously contributing to a lot of what's been going on and a lot of what the discussions with the Fed and everything else, obviously the overhang and part of those catalysts. So what are the sectors that were really shifting around a little bit? We started off the day, staples were up a little bit, up about 0.25%. They were down 0.5%. Material slipped a little bit, but then it was healthcare. Healthcare really started to slide. It was already down about 1% early, right at the start of the day. Down over 2%, almost 2.5%, just before I came on. Also, take a look at technology. Started off flat, down nearly 1%. Semiconductors, flat, down nearly 1%. You get the idea. Everything just starting to participate a little bit to the downside. The only thing in the green today was energy. The last I looked, it started off the day modestly in the green, then up about 0.25%. So what are some of the positives? There are still some positives in this marketplace, but Twitter being one of them, Netflix being another one, airlines again with some nice follow-up, American United definitely putting in a little bit that it's helping out the markets in some way or another as those markets do slide a little bit more and more. Chinese names today getting a little bit of a bounce with JD, PDD, NetEase, and some of those names. Also, Kimberly-Clark having a very nice day. Schlumberger after earnings having a pretty nice day. Then I look over at some of the movers. We talked about healthcare getting absolutely hammered today. HCA Healthcare, one of those that's leading that move to the downside. Throw in Stryker, throw in DaVita. You get the idea. You start to see other names.
Meatball sandwiches today.
Meatball sandwiches for the guys on the pier. Even in a negative market, you got to take care of people if you can. That's my wonderful wife. She'll be doing exactly that. So there's a lot of different things. Also, Tractor Supply getting pulled down as well. Then I look over at Ralph Lauren. So a lot of different areas of the marketplace in this participation of this little bit of a early morning sell-off that we're seeing in the first hour of trade. So 2 unusuals and then done for the day. I did slip in a little something yesterday. I got called and Scott Wapner in the overtime. So sorry that if you missed that, we had an opportunity to talk about Tesla and some of the other things that were going on, Apple as well, and some of the options that are getting traded ahead of next week's earnings there. So in terms of today, Kraft Heinz down there underneath 44, getting hit a little bit. 2,500 of next Friday's expiring of the 46 calls. So not a huge run to the upside, but for Kraft Heinz, that's a pretty substantial move to the upside. Those options are going from 36 cents up to 39 cents, probably a little bit cheaper now because when those hit, I think the stock was a little bit higher than it is right now. Next, Luminar Technologies. Now, this is LAZR, not a name that comes up a lot, This is Auto Technologies, so that's probably why you haven't heard as much about this specific name. It's trading near the 52-week lows, not on them, but near them, trading around 13 bucks a share. We had a buyer of 13,000 of next Friday's expiring April 29th, the 14 and a half calls. Again, stock around 13. They're buying these 14 and a halves. They're going for about 19 cents up to about 40 cents. So very interesting to see. Decent sized trade and highly unusual just because we do not see that name all that frequently. Folks, you don't understand the derivatives markets, please do get educated. It's really, really important. But you do not want to be part of the derivatives markets unless you've got that knowledge, because it can be a very, very difficult and a very brutal thing at times. But if you have the knowledge, you can control the risk a much better way for whatever style of trading you want to do. Folks, I want you to have a great weekend. Have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you on Monday.